But first of all, it's been an important week for the British Horse Racing Authority because they've announced the next phase in their equine welfare commitment, the very ambitious A Life Well Lived strategy. And part of that is the appointment of Mike Etherington-Smith, the designer of multiple Olympic eventing courses, who is going to work across the industry as the BHA's Equine Safety Advisor. And I'm pleased to say that Mike joins me on the line now. Morning, Mike.
Nick, good morning.
Just tell me a little bit about this new role with the BHA and what it's going to entail.
Well, I'll just correct you if I may. We're actually sort of working for the Horse Welfare Board rather than directly with the BHA, and we're working to look at the progress that's been going on, all the really good work that the Welfare Board has implemented so far and introduced. We don't actually start until early next month. So it's a bit early, and our first task, and we've got a meeting arranged for the three of us in early July, is to see what's been going on, assess it all and work out some priorities and then make the plan. But it's a very exciting opportunity. It's a particular area of interest of mine and indeed all of us. The colleagues on this group, I mean, Helena Flynn is a pretty grown-up person, massively experienced. She's our program director, and then Steve, supports. He's a massive expert in data, and he'll be looking at all the sort of the data gathering and the welfare leads director. So, it's a pretty serious program, and it's a declaration of intent on behalf of the Horse Welfare Board, really, to actually try and turn their plans into action.
Just from your background in the eventing world, what do you think you can bring? What have you done there that you think you can apply to racing?
I've been involved on the edges of racing for a bit, but looking at eventing, I've been on an international FEI, international governing body of the sport, risk management steering group. I was sort of pretty much one of the drivers of getting this thing off the ground 8 years ago, where we look at risk and risk management, risk mitigation and welfare issues across the world. And we look at what we can do to reduce risk. And, that looks at fences, fence design, ground, qualifications, protective clothing, anything and everything you can think of that impacts on welfare and risk, safety, falls on our desk. And in my travels, I'm lucky enough to travel around a lot. I meet a lot of racing people. There's an awful lot of cross-industry mixing, as you would know. And so we chew the fat. I chew the fat with vets in Australia, New Zealand, over here. Meet jockeys, meet trainers, and it's a familiar topic and conversation across eventing, which is a risk sport, and indeed racing. So a lot of similarities in what we'll be looking at and, with what we've been doing in the eventing world. And it becomes very, very obvious that, what we've been doing is very, very relevant and helpful in what we've been asked to do. And just like to make the point, really, we're here to pick people's brains, learn from all the knowledge and experience in racing. We're absolutely not here to tell racing what to do. Our first task is to get out and about. I should be out and about, meeting up with jockeys, trainers, racecourse managers, clerks of the course, people like Richard Lindley, everybody who has an interest, and picking brains, seeking knowledge, using the experience, full of respect and admiration of all the knowledge that exists already. And helping to bring everybody together, working collaboratively and cooperatively to make a plan that everybody supports and is, positive about.
Obviously, this is part of the Horse Welfare Board's Life Well Lived strategy. As I was saying, it's a very ambitious strategy, and this is the next phase of it with these 3 appointments. Do you see your role as a cradle to grave role for these horses, so that you're understanding their well-being from when they're foaled to the time that they die?
Yes, well, it's a massive strategy. It's a well thought out, and it's a pretty weighty document, as we all know. And it's fantastic that it's got cross-industry support. And as I said just now, our job is to go through it and prioritise what we can do. My particular role in the document, the strategy document, is to look at the equine safety element, and it's been put together with a lot of thought and care and concern, with some pretty strong recommendations that we need to dig into and get into. And part of that will be talking to everybody and trying to get a fuller understanding, or a much broader understanding, of what people who've been in the industry for many, many years actually see and feel and would recommend.
But it's about all-round care of the horse rather than just, say, injuries occurring on the track. That's sort of what I'm getting at.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is indeed, for sure. I mean, my particular bit is equine safety, and it's pillar to post, as it were, for, as you say, from arriving on the planets until, they retire and, come to the end of their lives. So that's what the strategy document's all about. I mean, my particular piece of that is the equine safety related element. And anything that impacts on that inevitably will come our way. I mean, we are a team. It's not just all about me, for sure. So we've got to pick through the whole lot. We haven't, as I say, we haven't started yet. We're doing masses of background reading at the moment, and we're getting a lot of information coming our way. And so once we've made the plan, I'll be able to be much more precise and specific with you.
Mike, in the sphere that you've come from, can you give me some examples of how the work you've done has made the sport of eventing safer?
We had, in 1999, there were 5 fatalities in the UK, rider fatalities in the UK. That prompted what's known as the Hartington Report. Lord Hartington came in. He was asked, as an independent person, really, not immersed in the eventing world, to come and look at the sport and come up with some recommendations. And one of the key recommendations from that was that everything needs to be done to prevent horses falling, which, is a fantastic statement. It's stating the obvious, but you can imagine there's a massive trickle-down effect from that. On that group was, for example, Jackie Stewart, Formula One, who does a massive amount for safety in Formula One, and they're a great example of what's happened. So having that independent view, it was a group of 5 or 6 people who did a massive consultation worldwide. And then Charlie Barnett, who everybody in racing would be familiar with Aintree and Ascot and many other roles, many other hats he's won. He was asked by the FEI, the International Equestrian Federation, to come in and do an audit on safety in eventing. And he spent a lot of time talking to people from all over the world, including people like myself, and came up with a fabulous report. Again, just one step outside it, but he knew enough about eventing to know what questions to ask. And so that was a massive step forward as well. And what he did was drew our attention. He, like our role, wasn't telling us what to do. He was making recommendations, saying, these are the areas you need to think about, guys. And so that's what we're going to be doing to the Horse Welfare Board. We're going to, as I say, pick people's brains, look at what's going on, look at what's going really well. There's a lot of stuff that's going really well. Put it all together, make a plan, and make some recommendations to the Horse Welfare Board, who we shall be working very closely with anyway throughout the whole process. There's a lot of knowledge there. And so, if you put all the pieces together of what has been done in the eventing world over the years, and I used to ride before I got too fat and old, professionally. So I've seen how the sport has improved in terms of risk management, in terms of fence design, ground preparation is significantly improved, protective clothing, qualifications, eligibility, currency of form, and all these things come together. It's a massive cocktail of issues. It's much, much more than just a single piece of information. And that's where it's quite high risk to make a decision based on one piece of information only, as you would appreciate. And so what we do is we look at all this information that comes in, and one of the less pleasant duties that I have to do is actually look at all the footage of nasty falls that happen in the sport and try and learn from that. And there's always something new to learn. And so we pick through this footage and think, okay, what can we do better in terms of fence design, fence construction, positioning of fences, ground conditions? What do horses see? I know this is a big subject in racing, and we've been working with the racing team on this with Exeter University, who are doing a great job, a lot of work into it. So all of this works well, and I've been lucky enough to be involved with several meetings over the years, starting off Cheltenham and Aintree, and it's expanded from that, where we've shared all sorts of information. And you soon realise there's an awful lot of common ground between what's been going on in eventing, another risk sport, with what's going on in racing. They're the same issues, by and large, the same principles. You strip it all back, a lot of them are the same issues.
Mike, thanks so much for talking to me this morning. Best of luck with the new role.
Thanks, Nick.
Mike Etherington-Smith, who is the new Equine Safety Advisor for the Horse Welfare Board, and I always get that wrong. The Horse Welfare Board is independent and is not just the British Horse Racing Authority, but is across all the stakeholders.